When you make more of everything else, you make less of Christ. Let's make more of Christ. Urban Family Talk.
I just don't think that there is one cut and dry, open, shut response to this where Ayesha Curry should be, just piled on, or Steph Curry should be piled on.
Yeah, but I think it's unfortunate how it came out because you know what I'm saying? Like, that it just causes undue like problems that, potentially, on his part and for her too. And the thing is, the question I think was, if I'm not mistaken, was asked to his mom too, like Steph Curry's mom, how she felt, because his dad was an NBA player, and and how she felt about like women throwing themselves at him, and she was like, I liked it because she knew that he was hers and all this kind of stuff, and that's how this whole conversation started. Then she went after her, I believe. But I think that those kind of conversations, while they may make good for like shows like Red Table or whatever the name of it is, it's just, it can cause a lot of damage behind the scenes, like when they get home. And you know what I'm saying? I don't know just how wise that is, especially as being Christians, just to.
Now that's interesting because Steph Curry's family is Christian, right? His mom's a Christian, his parents are Christian. So what I think it's fair for us to do is to hold them to a biblical standard. Mm-hmm. Now, if we were talking about some couple that does not know the Lord, right? Or the family does not know the Lord. I mean, I think there's then a different standard by which we hold them. But because their family is Christian, I think we hold them to a different standard, and we have to do that. We have to, because these are public representatives of Jesus, right?
Yeah, they profess Christ. I mean,
right. Yeah. And so the response coming from us should not just be a psychoanalysis of what could be going on inside the Curry home, or what is going on, what is jacked up about the family. I think from us, it should be like, whoa, hold on a minute. These are our brothers and sisters in the Lord. And so this is an occasion now for the enemies of God to blaspheme, right? So we have to be on safeguard for the holiness of God. Like, we're not just looking at this as like, oh, look at this weird cultural phenomenon that just popped up. Like, we are dealing with this from the perspective of, well, they named Christ. So, all of our conduct, all of our Christian conduct is laid out for us in the scriptures so that the name of God is not blasphemed among non-believers, right? So that Christianity is not mocked. Now, this provides an occasion for Christianity to be mocked. And people would say, well, how? How does this provide an opportunity for Christianity to be mocked? Because at a very basic level, the first observation would be this: oh, they're just like us. They're just like us. The women want to be looked at. They're just like us. The women want to have their, luxuries massaged by having someone desire their husbands. They're just like us. So, cool. I could be a Christian too. I don't have anything I need to give up. I want you to think about that. Like, this is, when I see things like this, I think, man, it's so much bigger. Like, you would start with a person. You would want to counsel and talk to and reach out to the person. At least that's the way I'm bent. Like, that's my heart, right? I'm like, man, let's get to a place of healing. Like, let's talk about this, right? But then after that, it's like, okay, so listen, we really need to be careful here, right? Because the name of God is on the line, because you claim it, right? You claim to be a Christian. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4 says, let marriage, the first half of it, I'll read all of it, but the first half of it is where I really wanted to focus. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4 says, let marriage be held in honor among all. Let me read that again. Let marriage be held in honor among all. And let the marriage bed be undefiled, for God will judge the sexually immoral and the adulterous. Let marriage be held in honor among all. Now, we could jump to the physical, tangible prohibition there. Don't commit adultery. Don't defile your wedding bed, your marriage bed, right? But there is also an intangible either you could call it a prohibition or you can call it an admonition, but there's something that you can't quite put your fingers on there. And so how do you measure that? The first part of that is let marriage be held in honor. So that means the way we see our marriage has got to be in a place where it's esteemed. It is held up. So if that's our first intangible admonition, that's our first intangible encouragement, you can't really put your fingers on that, then that deals with the condition of the heart. That deals with the attitude of the heart. That deals with the mental and the emotional posture of the two people involved in the marriage and other believers who are looking on. That marriage is to be held in honor.
Amen.
So what does that mean? That means that once I'm married, I should not be enamored that someone else is looking at me. There should be a little bit of a like, oh no, man, please no, like you don't, because why? Because you're married. So marriage is to be held in honor. This is the encouragement for the believer. This sets an example for a watching world, a world that is looking on. So the same thing for the husband. The husband, and I think this is probably an issue that doesn't get dealt with as much, but the same thing for the husband. Not only should the wife desire that someone should be wanting what they can't have, but the husband shouldn't want someone to want what they can't have. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Like the husband doesn't put his wife on display. Yeah, why don't you wear that? Yeah, I like to wear that. Yeah, girl, you bad. Put that on.
Right.
Now, look, again, whenever we have these conversations, this is not some sort of, advocacy for dressing in potato sacks, burlap sacks. Right? But at the same time, if we see our marriage the way God sees our marriage, if we view our unions as a picture of Christ and the church, do you understand that this need for flirtation or even engaging in flirting, do you understand how wicked that is in the context of this being a picture of Christ and the church? If God is betrothed to us, if Jesus Christ is the bridegroom and he's coming back to get us, right? What does it say that somebody else should be looking? In fact, for us to be wanting somebody, and I'm speaking spiritually here, for us to be wanting someone else to be looking, even that is like a measure of unfaithfulness. That there's something outside of this context, of this betrothal that grabs us. That is a problem. So now that's a spiritual context.
Yeah.
And then the literal and the physical context of right now, when we talk about marriage, man, this intangible encouragement that, you can't stress it enough. Let marriage be held in honor.
That's right.
Let marriage be held in honor. Now, look, it would have made Ayesha Curry a little more vulnerable. Although she already made herself quite vulnerable in what she said, but it would have made her a little more vulnerable for her to say, hey, it really bothers me that all these women are like throwing themselves at my husband. It concerns me. It makes me wonder about myself, and she could have stopped right there. But because we are all prone, right, to have these desires, these sinful desires that do not comport with Scripture. This is why we need a Savior, right? She goes beyond that to, it'd be nice to have somebody looking at me too. We should be praying for her.
Yeah, you're right.
We should be praying for her. You know what? The enemy seized those words.
Yep.
The enemy seized those words and they have been carried to whomever is willing. And now they're saying, well, gladly. Well, I'll look. I'm checking for you, Ayesha.
Wow. Yeah.
We should be praying for the Currys.
Amen.
Let marriage be held in honor.
Challenging truth, godly wisdom, and spiritual empowerment. Urban Family Talk.